So in the previous video, we have learned that whenever an object vibrates, a sound is produced. So continuing the same concept, let me take more examples. When we speak, we produce sound. So how exactly do we produce sound? So see guys, here in the windpipe, there is something known as the voice box. So inside the voice box, there are two vocal cords. So whenever we want to speak, what happens is we breathe out. Now as we breathe out, what is happening? Air from our lungs passes through the voice box and out of our mouth. So when the air is passing through the voice box, it is vibrating these vocal cords. So when these vocal cords vibrate, that's how we produce sound. Is it clear? So next time when you're talking, just keep your fingers over here. You can actually feel the vibrations of your vocal cord. So how do we produce sound? When we speak, we breathe out. When we breathe out, air vibrates our vocal cords. So because of vibrations of our vocal cords, we produce sound. Is it clear? So let's read about it. When we talk, we make sound. This sound is made by the vibrations of two vocal cords which are present in our voice box fixed in the throat. So these over here are the vocal cords. This can be shown as follows. Let us hold the fingers of our right hand gently on our throat and talk to one of our friends or sing a song. So whenever you're speaking, just place your hand over here. You can actually feel the vibrations. When we are talking, that is making sound, our fingers feel that something is moving or vibrating inside the throat. Actually, when we talk, air from the lung passes up the windpipe. This air makes the vocal cords in our voice box to vibrate rapidly. So as you speak, air is coming out. The air is making these vocal cords vibrate, because of which you're producing sound. And vibrating vocal cords produce the sound of our talk. Is it clear? Thus, sound is produced when our vocal cords vibrate. So this is how we produce sound. Please note that the vibrations of our vocal cords are small, so we can only feel them with our hands. It's not a large vibration, it's a small vibration. You can actually feel it. We cannot see these vibrations with our eyes. Mosquitoes and bees make a buzzing sound by vibrating their wings very, very rapidly. So whenever a mosquito bee comes near your ear, you can see that sound zzz. How does that zzz sound come? They're vibrating their wings very rapidly, because of which sound is produced. So remember guys, for sound to be produced, an object has to be vibrating. So how we speak is clear. Let's go ahead. Let me take more examples. When you blow into an empty test tube, again a sound is produced. So how does this work? See, what is there inside the test tube? Air is there. So when you're blowing the air over here, the air starts vibrating, because of which sound is produced. Similarly, this over here is a flute, also known as a bansuri in Hindi. Now what you do is you place your fingers over here and blow over here. A beautiful sound is produced. So what is happening over here? Basically, there's air inside the flute. So when you're blowing over here, you are vibrating the air column inside. So when the air inside vibrates, a sound is produced. So that's how a flute produces sound. Let's read about it. If we blow across the mouth of an empty test tube, then a whistling sound is produced. This sound is produced by the vibrations of air present in the test tube. Is it clear? Thus sound is produced when the air column enclosed in a tube vibrates. This application is a flute. The sound of a flute, also known as a bansuri in Hindi, is produced by the vibrations of air column enclosed in the flute tube. So inside this flute tube, air is there. So when you blow over here, the air starts vibrating, because of which sound is produced. So this is how a flute works. The sound of a bursting balloon is produced by the vibrations of air enclosed in the balloon. So inflate a balloon, take a needle, a blast will come, right? That sound. Why is that sound? Because of vibrating air inside the balloon. Let me take more examples. This over here is a tabla. So basically it comprises of a stretched membrane over here. So when you strike the membrane over here, this membrane starts vibrating. How do you know? Take small pebbles and put it over here. As soon as you strike the membrane, the pebbles will start dancing up and down. That shows the membrane is vibrating. So because the membrane is vibrating, a sound is produced. Similarly, this over here is a picture of a drum. When you strike a drum with a drumstick, what happens? The stretched membrane over here again starts vibrating, because of which a sound is produced. So see, if we hit the stretched membrane or skin of a tabla, the membrane starts vibrating and produces sound. That's how we get the tabla sound. Now, if we put a few small pebbles on the membrane of this sound producing tabla, the pebbles will start jumping up and down, showing that the tabla membrane is vibrating while produces sound. So all you do is put small pebbles over here and then strike the membrane. So the pebbles will start dancing up and down. That shows the membrane is vibrating. And because it is vibrating, hence a sound is produced. Thus, sound is produced when the membrane or skin of a tabla vibrates. Similarly, when we strike at the membrane of a drum, it vibrates to produce a sound. So I hope this point is also clear. Thus, sound is produced when the stretched membrane of a drum vibrates. Next, guys, this over here is a picture of a speaker, which we all love to hear songs on, right? So what is happening over here? There's a thin cone inside. So when the thin cone vibrates, a sound is produced. Similarly, in your TV or computer, a speaker is there. Again, internal vibrations are there, because of which sound is produced. So see, if we switch on a speaker, the thin cone of its speaker vibrates and produces sound. We can feel these vibrations if we place our fingers gently on the cone of the speaker. So basically, if you place your hands over here, on this part over here, or this part, or this part, you can actually feel the vibrations. So in a speaker or television, the thin cone of the speaker vibrates backwards and forwards rapidly and produces sound. Thus, the sound of a speaker or TV is produced by the vibrations of the cone of the speaker. So remember, guys, for a sound to be produced, vibration has to be there. So I hope the concept is clear. So see, from the above discussion, we conclude that sound can be produced by the following methods: by vibrating strings, as in a sitar or a guitar; by vibrating air columns, like in a flute; by vibrating membranes, like in a tabla or a drum; or by vibrating plates, as in a bicycle bell. So remember, guys, for a sound to be produced, an object has to vibrate. And what is a vibration? Rapid to and fro movement. So this over here is the concept of how sound is produced.